Welcome to Shadowland's Ghosts, a place where the ordinary and the unknown blend together in unexpected ways. I'm your host, Raven Blackwood, and I'm thrilled to share with you the darker side of life, where the fabric of reality is thin and the shadows come alive. As I sit here in my cozy little studio, surrounded by the familiar comforts of home, I often find myself wondering what lies just beyond the edge of our everyday world. The creaks and groans of the old house, the flicker of the candles, they all seem to whisper secrets in my ear, secrets that I'm eager to share with you. But be warned, the stories I'll be telling you are not for the faint of heart. They're tales of the unknown, the unexplained, and the unsettling. And as we embark on this journey together, I want you to join me, to be a part of this community, this family of like-minded individuals who are not afraid to venture into the shadows. Speaking of which, our first story is one that I think you'll find particularly intriguing. It's about an old camera found in a dusty attic that seems to have a mind of its own. Every picture taken with it shows a shadowy figure getting closer and closer with each snap. The question is, who or what is this figure, and what does it want? But to truly experience the terror, you'll have to see it through the eyes of our protagonist, Emily. She's the one who found the camera, and she's the one who'll be taking you on this journey into the heart of darkness. So if you're ready to face the unknown, to venture into the shadows, and to experience the fear that lurks within, then please subscribe to our channel and join our family of Shadowland's Ghosts. Let's embark on this journey together and see where the darkness takes us. In our next video, I'll be sharing Emily's story in her own words. So, stay tuned and get ready to enter the Shadowlands. I still remember the day I found the old camera like it was yesterday. It was a lazy Sunday afternoon, and I was rummaging through my grandparents' dusty attic, searching for anything that could spark my creativity. The smell of old books, forgotten memories, and the faint hint of decay filled my nostrils as I pushed aside boxes and trunks, uncovering a treasure trove of family heirlooms. Amidst the chaos, I stumbled upon an old, mysterious-looking camera, its leather case worn and cracked, its lens gleaming with an otherworldly allure. As I picked it up, a shiver ran down my spine. It felt like I was holding a piece of history, a window into the past that was waiting to be opened. My grandmother, who had been watching me from the doorway, smiled and said, "Ah, you found the old camera. That's been up there for years, collecting dust." She walked closer, her eyes sparkling with a mix of curiosity and wariness. "Be careful with that, Emily. Some things are better left in the past." I didn't pay much attention to her warning, too caught up in the excitement of my discovery. I carefully loaded the camera with a roll of film I found in the attic and decided to take it for a test run. As I framed my first shot, a sense of unease settled in the pit of my stomach. It was as if the camera was watching me, waiting for me to capture something. I pushed the feeling aside, attributing it to my overactive imagination, and snapped the first picture. The results were nothing short of astonishing. The photograph showed our old family portrait, but with a faint, shadowy figure lurking in the background. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, but as I continued to take pictures, the figure began to appear in each one, its presence growing more pronounced with every shot. It was then that I realized the camera was capturing something that wasn't quite of this world. As I looked at the photographs, a creeping sense of dread began to settle in. Who or what was this shadowy figure, and why was it getting closer with each snapshot? I tried to brush it off as mere coincidence, but the feeling of being watched lingered, refusing to be shaken. It's been weeks since I found the camera, and I've been taking pictures non-stop, trying to understand the mystery behind the lens. But the more I photograph, the more I realize that I'm not alone. The figure is getting closer, its presence seeping into my waking life, haunting my every step. I'm starting to wonder if I've unleashed something that I can no longer control. As I sit here, surrounded by the photographs, I'm faced with a daunting question. What happens when the figure finally reaches me? As I delved deeper into the mystery of the camera, I started to notice strange occurrences around me. At first, they were just minor things, a misplaced book, a faint noise in the night, or an unexplained chill in the air. I tried to brush them off as mere coincidence, but the events continued to pile up, weaving a sense of unease that was hard to shake. One evening, as I was developing the photographs in my makeshift darkroom, I heard a faint whisper in my ear. It was soft and raspy, and it seemed to be saying something, but I couldn't quite make out the words. I spun around, but there was no one there. The whisper seemed to come from the camera itself, as if it was trying to communicate with me. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just the wind or my imagination. But as I continued to work on the photographs, I started to notice that the shadowy figure was getting closer. Its presence was no longer just limited to the photographs. I could feel its eyes on me, watching me, waiting for me. I started to experience strange visions too. I would be walking down the street, and suddenly I would see the figure out of the corner of my eye. I would turn around, but there would be no one there. It was as if the figure was taunting me, playing a game of cat and mouse. The visions were always fleeting, but they left me with a sense of dread that lingered long after they were gone. I started to wonder if I was losing my mind, if the camera was somehow manipulating my perceptions of reality. One night, I woke up to the sound of my own name being whispered in my ear. It was a low, raspy voice, and it seemed to be coming from right next to me. I sat up with a start, my heart racing, and that's when I saw it. The shadowy figure was standing in my bedroom, its presence filling the room with an unspeakable horror. I froze, unable to move or speak. The figure didn't seem to be doing anything, just standing there, watching me. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished. I was left shaken, my mind reeling with questions. What was this thing, and what did it want from me? I knew I had to get rid of the camera to break the connection that seemed to be fueling these strange occurrences. But as I reached for the camera, I felt a strange resistance. It was as if the camera was attached to me, refusing to let go. I tried to pull it away, but it seemed to be stuck to my hand. And then I heard the whisper again. This time, it was clear as day. "You can't escape me," it said. "I'm always with you." As I looked at the camera, I realized that I was trapped. The figure was not just a presence in my photographs. It was a part of me, a part of my reality. And I knew that I would never be able to escape its grasp. The photographs on my wall seemed to be watching me, the shadowy figure looming large in every shot. I felt like I was living in a nightmare, with no escape in sight. And as I sat there, frozen in fear, I knew that I was running out of time. The figure was getting closer, and I was powerless to stop it. As I stared at the camera, the truth began to dawn on me. The whisper in my ear, the visions on the street, the shadowy figure in my bedroom, it was all connected to this device. The camera was not just a tool for capturing memories. It was a portal, a gateway to a realm where the living and the dead coexisted. The figure was not just a presence in my photographs. It was a harbinger of doom, a malevolent entity that had attached itself to me through the camera. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized the true nature of the horror. The camera had been manipulating me, using its dark magic to slowly drive me mad. The visions, the whispers, the unexplained occurrences. It was all part of a sinister plan to break down my defenses, to make me vulnerable to the figure's presence. As I looked around my room, I saw the photographs on the wall with new eyes. They were not just innocent snapshots. They were doorways to a realm of terror, portals that allowed the figure to enter my reality. I felt a wave of panic wash over me as I realized that I had been playing with forces beyond my control. The figure's presence seemed to grow stronger, its eyes burning with an otherworldly intensity. I knew that I was running out of time, that I had to find a way to break the connection between the camera and the figure before it was too late. But as I looked at the camera, I knew that I was trapped. The figure's voice whispered in my ear, its words echoing in my mind. "You can't escape me," it said. "I'm always with you." I knew that I was living in a nightmare, with no escape in sight. The photographs on the wall seemed to be closing in on me, the shadowy figure looming large in every shot. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of terror, with no lifeline to cling to. And as I sat there, frozen in fear, I knew that I was at the mercy of the figure, a pawn in its twisted game of horror. The room seemed to grow darker, the shadows deepening and twisting into grotesque forms. I knew that I was staring into the face of pure evil, and that my only hope for survival was to find a way to break the curse that had been cast upon me. But as I looked at the camera, I knew that the odds were against me. The figure was too powerful, its grip on me too strong. I was trapped, and I knew that I would never be able to escape its grasp. As I sat there, frozen in fear, I knew that I had to confront the horror head-on. The photographs on the wall seemed to be closing in on me, the shadowy figure looming large in every shot. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of terror, with no lifeline to cling to. But I knew that I couldn't give up. I had to find a way to break the curse that had been cast upon me, no matter the cost. I took a deep breath and reached out for the camera, my hands shaking with fear. The figure's voice whispered in my ear, its words echoing in my mind. "You'll never be able to escape me," it said. But I knew that I had to try. As I touched the camera, a surge of energy coursed through my body. The room seemed to grow even darker, the shadows deepening and twisting into grotesque forms. I felt like I was being pulled into a vortex of terror, with no escape in sight. But I refused to give up. I looked into the camera's lens, and I saw the figure's face staring back at me. Its eyes burned with an otherworldly intensity, and I knew that I was staring into the face of pure evil. "You're not real," I said, my voice shaking with fear. "You're just a trick of the light, a shadow on the wall." But the figure just laughed. Its voice was like a cold wind, and it sent shivers down my spine. "I'm as real as you are," it said. "And I'll always be with you." I felt a wave of panic wash over me, but I knew that I had to keep fighting. I looked into the camera's lens, and I saw my own reflection staring back at me. But it was distorted, twisted into a grotesque parody of my own face. I knew that I had to break the curse, no matter what it took. I reached out and grabbed the camera, holding it in my hands. The figure's voice whispered in my ear, its words echoing in my mind. "You can't escape me," it said. But I was determined to try. I raised the camera above my head, and I felt a surge of energy coursing through my body. The room seemed to grow even darker, the shadows deepening and twisting into grotesque forms. And then, in a flash of inspiration, I knew what I had to do. I looked into the camera's lens, and I saw the figure's face staring back at me. I smiled and I said goodbye. With a surge of adrenaline, I smashed the camera to the ground, shattering the lens and breaking the curse that had been cast upon me. The room seemed to grow lighter, the shadows receding and untwisting into normal shapes. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, and I knew that I had finally broken free from the figure's grasp. I stood up and I looked around my room with new eyes. The photographs on the wall seemed to be just ordinary snapshots, not doorways to a realm of terror. I took a deep breath, and I knew that I was finally free. I had confronted the horror head-on, and I had emerged victorious. But as I looked down at the broken camera, I knew that I would never be able to forget the terror that I had faced. The figure's voice whispered in my ear, its words echoing in my mind. "I'll always be with you." And I knew that I would never be able to escape the memories of that night, the night that I confronted the horror head-on and emerged victorious. As I stood up and I looked around my room with new eyes, I knew that I had finally broken free from the figure's grasp. The photographs on the wall seemed to be just ordinary snapshots, not doorways to a realm of terror. I took a deep breath, and I knew that I was finally free. But as I looked down at the broken camera, I felt a chill run down my spine. The pieces of the camera seemed to be moving, slowly reassembling themselves into a grotesque parody of their former shape. I felt a wave of panic wash over me, and I knew that I had to get out of there as fast as I could. I turned to leave, but as I did, I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. The figure's face was staring back at me, its eyes burning with an otherworldly intensity. I spun around, but there was no one there. I knew then that I had made a terrible mistake. The figure wasn't just a trick of the light, a shadow on the wall. It was something far more sinister, something that had been awakened by my meddling with the camera. As I stumbled out of the room, I heard the sound of the camera's lens reassembling itself. The figure's voice whispered in my ear, its words echoing in my mind. "I'll always be with you." I knew then that I would never be able to escape the memories of that night, the night that I confronted the horror head-on and emerged victorious. But I also knew that I would never be able to shake the feeling that the figure was still out there, watching me, waiting for me to let my guard down. I ran out of the house, not stopping until I was blocks away. I didn't dare look back, fearing what I might see. I knew that I had to get as far away from the house as possible to try and forget the terror that I had faced. But as I walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being followed. I heard the sound of footsteps behind me, but whenever I turned around, there was no one there. I knew then that I would never be able to escape the figure's grasp, that it would always be with me, haunting me. I finally stopped walking, exhausted and shaken. I looked around, trying to get my bearings. But as I did, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The figure's face was staring back at me, its eyes burning with an otherworldly intensity. It was on a billboard, a giant advertisement for a new movie. But as I looked closer, I realized that it wasn't just a picture. The figure's eyes seemed to be moving, watching me. I knew then that I would never be able to escape the figure's grasp, that it would always be with me, haunting me. I turned and ran, not stopping until I was lost in the crowd. But even then, I knew that I would never be able to shake the feeling that the figure was still out there, watching me, waiting for me to let my guard down. And as I disappeared into the sea of faces, I knew that I would never be able to escape the memories of that night. The night that I confronted the horror head-on and emerged victorious. But at what cost? The city lights blurred together as I ran, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the figure's eyes were still on me, watching me, waiting for me to make my next move. And as the darkness closed in around me, I knew that I would never be able to escape the terror that I had faced. The figure's voice whispered in my ear, its words echoing in my mind. "I'll always be with you." And I knew that it was true. Epilogue, the last shot. It's been months since that fateful night. I've tried to move on, to put the memories of the figure behind me. But I can still feel its presence, watching me, waiting for me to let my guard down. The city lights are a constant reminder of the terror that I faced, the darkness that lurks in every corner. I'll try to tell myself that it's just my imagination, that the figure was just a product of my own paranoia. But I know the truth. I know that it's out there, waiting for me. I started to notice strange things happening around me. Photographs on the wall seemed to be slightly off, the subject's eyes following me as I move. I've caught glimpses of the figure out of the corner of my eye, its face twisted into a grotesque grin. I've tried to take pictures, to capture evidence of the figure's existence. But every time I do, the camera seems to jam, the film burning with an otherworldly intensity. I've come to realize that the figure is not just a monster, but a manifestation of my own fears. It's a reminder that the horrors that we face are not always external, but often internal. As I sit here, writing these words, I can feel the figure's presence around me. Its eyes are watching me, waiting for me to make my next move. I know that I'll never be able to escape its grasp, that it will always be with me, haunting me. But I'm not afraid. I know that I've faced the horror head-on and emerged victorious. I know that I'll never be able to shake the memories of that night, but I also know that I'll never be able to forget the lessons that I've learned. The figure's voice whispers in my ear, its words echoing in my mind. I'll always be with you. And I know that it's true. But I'm not alone. I have the knowledge that I've gained, the understanding that the horrors that we face are not always external, but often internal. I have the courage to face my fears, to confront the darkness that lurks within. As I finish writing these words, I feel a sense of closure. I know that I'll never be able to escape the figure's grasp, but I also know that I'll never be able to forget the lessons that I've learned. The city lights blur together as I look out the window, the darkness closing in around me. But I'm not afraid. I know that I've faced the horror head-on and emerged victorious. And as I disappear into the crowd, I know that I'll never be able to shake the feeling that the figure is still out there, watching me, waiting for me to let my guard down. But I also know that I'll never be able to forget the lessons that I've learned. The last shot is mine. Thank you for joining me on this terrifying journey, for sticking with me until the very end. I hope that you've enjoyed the ride, despite the chills and thrills. As we wrap up this epilogue, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for watching. Your support means the world to me, and I'm honored that you've chosen to spend your time with me. As I reflect on the journey that we've taken together, I'm reminded that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope. The figure may still be lurking, watching and waiting, but we've faced our fears head-on and emerged victorious. And that's something to be proud of. As we part ways for now, I want to invite you to join me on future adventures. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel. By doing so, you'll get access to more thrilling content, more spine-tingling stories, and more opportunities to face your fears alongside me. Don't let the darkness close in around you. Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay ahead of the curve. Subscribe to this channel today and join a community of like-minded individuals who are passionate about exploring the unknown. And as a special thank you to those who have already subscribed, I want to express my deepest gratitude. Your loyalty and support mean everything to me, and I promise to continue delivering high-quality content that will keep you on the edge of your seat. So, don't wait any longer. Hit that subscribe button now, and let's face the future together. Let's explore the unknown, and let's do it with courage and determination. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't let the figure get you.